Hello? Okay, we're good. Mrs. Sebastian, it is 6 o'clock right now.
Thank you. Welcome to the July 2nd, 2026 Parma City School District Board of Education special meeting. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. Roll call, please, Mr. Nucio.
Ms. Kerpick. Mrs. McTaggart. Mr. Reyes.
Present.
Mrs. Sebastian.
Present.
Mr. McCune.
Present.
They sound extra loud.
Why is it so very loud today?
Okay, so unless there is an objection, we will dispense with the reading of the special meeting notice. As a reminder, special meetings are held by the Board of Education to provide its members an opportunity to discuss matters. Community members are welcome and are encouraged to attend. However, they are not permitted to participate unless the board specifically asks for input. So with that being said, I am going to hand over our discussion to Mr. Nucio.
Thank you, Mrs. Sebastian. Okay, so I'm going to go through a little presentation. Some of the slides were from last Thursday's board meeting that Dr. Hunt used. I just kept them in there, but I expanded on that. So the reason that we are talking about a levy is the third year out. We're negative in August when I did my 5-year forecast, and this days of cash policy says if we're less than 60 days cash, you shall pursue revenue sources. So that's what we're doing for tonight's meeting. So here are the board options, and this was what Dr. Hunt talked about last week. The first option is the one we did in May, the 1.75 school district income tax, and we were going to forgive or stop collecting on 3 emergency levies. Second option is a straight 0.75% school district income tax. It has nothing to do with property tax levies at all. Now, the third option was the 0.5 school district income tax with no property tax relief at all. And it was brought up this week. Is it 5 years? Is it 10 years? What's the term? Can it be continuous? So I'll get into that later. So the revised code section 5748.2, it talks about income tax levies, and you really have to just read the last 2 lines. Proposed levy may be for a continuing period of time or for a specified number of years. So it doesn't have to be 5 years. It could be 6 years. It could be 7 years, 8 years. Our lawyer said he doesn't see it more than 12 years unless it's continuous. So 12 is kind of a weird term anyways. Most people would go 5 or 10, but there's really no terms on income tax. You can do whatever you want.
Mr. Nucio, do you want us to hold our questions to the end or while they're relevant?
Hold them to the end because probably
Okay.
I'll answer some of the questions in the presentation. Melissa, can you click on that link, please? So you probably saw this last week. This is, I know the board saw it, maybe the audience didn't see it. We're looking at the column where it says earned income tax, and you can only go up by 0.25%. So it could be 0.25, it could be 0.5, 0.75, 1, 1.25, so on. They put up there the option for 0.375, but it's not allowed by the state. They just show you for I guess purposes like how much you're collecting, but you're not actually allowed to say we want a 0.625% income tax, but it's on this chart for some reason. So if you collect 0.75 on the earned income tax, it's going to be 21.4 million. If you do the 0.5, it was 14.1 million. And we had talked about the last levy, it was 1.75, which is the $50.3 million. So just want to show you that on this chart what it collects. Oh, you have to probably move it for me. Oh, did I miss a slide, Ben? No, okay. So this is the levy we had in May, the 1.75 school district income tax, and we were going to stop collecting on 3 emergency levies. It was going to generate 50 million, but we we're going to have taxpayer relief of 40 million, so the net effect was 10 million. And the other options I showed before was the 0.5 and the 0.75, which you're not giving anything back, so it's the straight either 14.1 million or what in the 21.1 million. So this is the 21.4 million I talked about. That's the 0.75% school district income tax. Option 3 is the 0.5, which is 14.1 million. And so I kind of plugged this into the 5-year forecast, but you know, I'm kind of in between forecasts right now. I had my forecast in February, the next one's in August. So to do one right now in June and July is not really feasible because there's a lot of things that go into the forecast. But roughly a 0.5% school district income tax would be good through fiscal year 30. And a 0.75, since it generates more money, is through fiscal year 32. And this also assumes that we're going to cut $9 million like we said we would with the May levy. And of course, these are just projections. A lot of things can happen, inflation, staffing, benefits, downturn in the economy. So I can't say for sure that this is what's going to happen, but these are the projections from the state. So the outlook, if we don't do anything or if this fails, we'll probably be in fiscal precaution come September, because I have to do my forecast in August, and then the state reviews all the forecasts that are submitted, and they look at them and say, oh, your third year is negative, you're going to have to come up with a plan to get rid of that deficit. So that will most likely happen if we fail this levy in November. They might see this in September, but if we put up a levy, we could say, well, it all depends on what happens in November. So they would probably hold off on a plan until they see the results of the levy. So then, this way it works is if we pass in November, it would take effect on January 1st. But they remit the money to us quarterly. So the first one would be April, and then of course 3 months later and so on. But most people don't know to tell their employers, oh, you start withholding for Parma passes school district income tax. They don't know that until they do their tax returns the next year, and you file and it says you have to put your school district in your tax return, and it says, oh, you have a school district income tax. Then they pay, but by that time, probably a year's gone by, maybe a little more. If you wait to the last minute in April, it's going to be 15 months before we're getting a lot of the money. So the first year you only collect 6%. The second year they say it's about 75%, and full collection's like 18 months out. So that would be somewhere in June, July of 28. God, that sounds weird to say, but that's June, July 28, somewhere in that area. So what we need to do is we have to have 2 resolutions done before August 5th. The first one is for the Department of Taxation to tell us how much, whatever percent we put up, we'll collect, which I already showed you that is, because I confirmed that number with the Department of Taxation today, so I know the number is correct, but we still have to go through the formality that we have to send to them, and they have to certify the amount and send it back to us. Then we have another meeting, and if you want to move forward, that's the second resolution. Then I send it to the Board of Elections before August 5th to get on the board. So at this point, I'll open it up for discussions. If I can go back in any of the things you wanted to talk about.
I have a couple questions, Mr. Nucio.
Okay.
First one being, what other levies do we have that have terms on them?
So right now, we have emergency levies. One will expire in 30, 31, and 33, I think.
Do you happen to know what the terms were when those were passed?
Yeah, so they're all 10-year emergency levies.
They're all 10-year?
Yes, but the state had recently, within the last year, modified the rules for emergency levies that you can put them up one more time for a 5-year period. So that when it expires in 30, we can put it up one more time for, then we'll go through 35, and then it's just gonna drop off.
Okay, and then the other one, we've already done a 5-year?
They expire in like 30, 31, and 34, I think.
Okay.
So just add 5 years to those, that's when they'll
Oh, we
stop.
could do that for all 3 of them?
Right.
Oh, okay, okay,
Yeah.
I thought you just meant we could do that for the one. So are we allowed to go for an emergency levy? Because I know there was some legislation that had talked about,
I think the
like,
rule
not
of-
being able to do emergency levies anymore.
You're allowed to go for a new emergency levy only if you're in fiscal caution.
Okay,
And we are not in fiscal caution, so the answer to your question would be no.
okay. So, going back to the 2 scenarios of, the 0.5 and the 0.75%, what cuts would we, will we need to make cuts if we pass a 0.5, and would we need to make cuts if we pass a 0.75?
Yes, so Dr. Hunt had said last week that we are still going through with that plan, that we're gonna try to cut 9 million over 3 years, and we're trying to, obviously staffing is the biggest portion of the cuts, so they've been doing that for a couple of months now, that.
Would
and-
that, sorry,
And, yeah, we still need to make cuts, even if we pass the 0.5 or the 0.75.
do we know what that number of what we may need to cut would look like if we pass a 0.5 versus if we pass a 0.75?
No, I could not give you that number. I couldn't tell you, but we had promised that we would, what the board asked us to do was the 9 million over 3 years. So
Mhm.
that's what we're looking at, and that's what we'll put in the next forecast in
Okay.
August.
I just wasn't sure how, either of these would affect what we would need to cut and what the difference would be between the 2 of them
Well,
is what I was
these
trying
would-
to,
These would be
discern.
additional revenue, which would definitely help the fund balance, but I can't say, well, the ideal number is 13.4 million.
Mhm.
It's whatever you want it to be. If you want us to cut 9 million, or you want us to cut 20 million, I mean, obviously, the more you cut, the better the fund balance, but there's no ideal magic number that we have to cut.
okay. I don't have any more questions.
Okay?
Thank you.
Mr. Nucio.
Yes.
Thank you, Ms. Kerpick. My question is between our 0.5, so option, I believe that's option 2 is, I'm sorry, option 3 is the 0.5.
Correct.
So would it be correct to say if we chose option 3, that we would be coming back way sooner, especially with collections starting in '27, and also tying in the fact in the first year, we're only getting that 6%. So would it be safe to assume that we'd be coming back within like maybe 3 years?
Yeah, obviously, the higher percentage school district income tax is gonna collect more money. There's gonna collect 21.4 rather than, I think it was 14.1. So obviously, the difference, the $7 million difference you get every year with a higher tax rate means you can hold off longer. I estimate that the 0.5 will take us to 2030, and 0.75 will take us to 2032. So, yes, obviously, we would have to come back sooner if we go with the lower percent.
Okay,
But of
and
course,
so
the lo-
one of my considerations, and I think I expressed this at our board meeting during this presentation is, and one thing I learned, and also as a taxpayer myself, there is, and we heard a lot come back saying, we did not want a continuous. It's taking away our power to say whether or not you're doing a good job, which I do agree with. However, I also know that we've also heard, maybe in smaller numbers, that we come back and ask too much. So I feel like it's a hard balance. And what I'm really looking at is obviously considering which income tax we would look at, but really I'm putting a lot of weight in how long that would be. So I'd really like to know, what the rest of the board thinks about, and you said we could choose a 5-year, 10-year, we could do 7, 8, so.
That's correct. You can do whatever. There's not, a lot of levies, like emergency levies, you can do 5 years or 10 years. PI levies, you can do 5 years or continuous. That's your only two options. Bond levies are like 34, 35, or 30, but school district income tax is kind of like whatever you want. So it's kind of odd that that's the way it's set up. That's the way it is.
I like the thought of going with the 0.75 and doing a 10-year term on it. I feel like that gives the voters the chance to have a say in it and it not be a continuous one. But I just worry that only 0.5 would leave us coming back too soon. And I don't want to continually be coming back and be coming back. So to me, I think the happy medium is, going with the 0.75, that it'll last longer, giving it a 10-year limit, and then we would have the ability to come back for that additional 5.
You're correct. I did want to emphasize that the 0.75 we're talking about has nothing really to do with 1.75. We're not dropping 1% because we're doing this. People might think that, oh, it's 1.75, now they're not doing this so they can drop it at 1%. What this 0.7, we're just looking at the amount of net revenue we're going to get, and it really has nothing to do with the previous one that was 1.75, and now you're talking about 0.75, just so it's clear that they're unrelated. Mr. Reyes, do you have any questions?
Yeah, thank you. Thank you, Nick. Mr. Nuncio, I have a question about community input. Did we create any kind of MailChimp or IT device to gather any data?
We did when we did the May levy. We had I guess we called it a town hall. We had it here at Valley Forge where people came in and they asked superintendent and myself questions about the levy. I don't know if anything is in the works. Dr. Hunt's not available tonight, so I don't know since the last meeting what he's been working on regarding this, so I can't answer that question.
Yeah, no, of course, we all miss Dr. Hunt, but I know with you being here at that time, what was your feeling of the community? What would you think would be more palatable now, a 0.5 or a 0.75?
I'm having trouble with hearing you with the microphones.
Yeah, I don't know, yeah. Is that better?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
So that levy failed.
I'm sorry.
The levy that we did for May and it failed.
It failed miserably.
Failed miserably. What's your take on what would be palatable to our community for us to present?
So the last levy, there was 1.75 with property tax relief. The community, I guess their input afterwards was that they didn't trust that either this board or the next board would pass a resolution to reverse stopping the collections. So they didn't want that, and that 1.75 was a large ask, considering like Parma is at 3%, and I think 3%, and that's what I meant. Parma Heights is at 3%, and Parma's at 2.5%. So that it was kind of a big ask for 1.75, and there was nothing saying this board or another board could reverse course.
Right.
So that's why when 3 options, I didn't really even talk about option 1, which was regenerating the last May option, because it failed 5842 or 5941, something like that. So they obviously did not like that option at all. So that's why we had to go to a different course.
Mr. Nuncio, can I just say too, that it was the first time that we've done an income tax. So I think also with the renewals, we talked about this last time, there was serious confusion with the voters and maybe some just assumptions that even though we expressed that it was not on the ballot language and we could not put it on the ballot language, that we were giving back. And I think that was like a trust issue, that they didn't trust that we were going to actually do that, even though we passed a resolution, because it was not on the ballot.
Or you could have just reversed your resolution and said, oh, well, we need the money, we're gonna, even though we told you we're gonna do it, we're gonna reverse in course.
Great point.
Right.
So, I think a lot, other school districts were watching us to see,
Mm-hmm.
we were kind of the guinea pig. Some of the schools, Willoughby Eastlake was talking about this, and then they pulled theirs at the last minute, saying, the treasurer actually called me and said, well, we're gonna wait to see what happens in Parma. Because, then we know how to react, because if yours passes, then we're gonna do the same thing. If yours fails, we're not gonna put it up, so.
Yeah, yeah. Well, it makes perfect sense, and we saw Metro Parks levies passing, Tri-C levies passing, all within this community, so I don't think that the ask is gonna be too much, now that we kind of have a baseline of what we know, what not to ask for.
Right.
I think we asked for too much previously. Now, for you, and I'm not asking you to refigure anything or redo any numbers, but is there a benefit in aligning our levy number of years requested to how you provide the budget to the state? So if we can go out with 0.5 at 7 years, does that help you in any way?
I'm sorry, can you repeat that question?
So you report a budget every 5 years, right, to the state to make sure that everything's balanced, and you have to do that. You're doing it now between June, you just ended the year, and you submit all that stuff. Is there any benefit in us aligning this levy to end prior to or right after you submit your next budget in 7 years, 15 years?
So I don't submit a budget to the states. I submit a budget to the Board of Education every year, which is approved, and I have to do a 5-year forecast twice a year, which is kind of like our current year budget plus additional years. And the state reviews that when they decide on different factors of funding, but I don't submit my budget to the state.
No, thank you. Thank you very much. Mr. Reyes?
Thank you. I'm trying to get too close to it. So, option 1, 2, and 3, are these projections based off of February's 5-year forecast?
Yes.
It says option 2 and 3 has us positive through 2032 and 2030. So is that just positive, or is that above the cash reserve?
It would be line 15.01 on the 5-year forecast.
So positive through fiscal year 2032, that's not a negative number. Does it put us over the cash reserve that our policy states?
No, it just makes us positive through that year.
Okay. So so I guess there's really no room to roll back on the 9 million in reduction if either of these options.
I mean, the board, I don't know, maybe it was April or March, I'm not sure when we put it up last, but the board had asked us to make $9 million in cuts over 3 years, so I think that's our directive from the board to do that. So unless the board tells us do something otherwise, we're going to plan on doing $9 million over 3 years.
Okay, so I guess my question is, if the 0.5 or the 0.75 get passed, that's still not enough to allow us to roll back on the 9 million, is it?
I mean, we could always get rid of the 9 million, but it just makes our fund balance worse going forward if you don't make those $9 million in cuts. I
Okay.
don't know, I'm not sure if I'm answering your question.
Basically, what I'm trying to understand is if 0.75 gets passed and we say, okay, we have more revenue now, is it even an option for us to say, okay, instead of 9 million, we're only going to reduce 7 million so we can keep some programs or keep some student services?
Oh, absolutely.
Would that even be an option if this only puts us positive and not over the cash reserve?
I mean, the board can give us a directive to whatever dollar amount they want us to cut. I don't have an updated forecast to tell you that, well, 0.75 is gonna be 64 days of cash, or it's gonna be 58 days of cash. I can't say at this point. But
Okay.
it's making us positive through those years.
Will you be able to say once we have the updated forecast?
I should be, but that would be towards the end of August, which is gonna be after the deadline to submit a question to the Board of Elections.
Okay. And you said line 1501, that's the actual, that's the number we're looking at as far as the cash reserve policy?
Yes,
That's, okay. And how is the cash reserve calculated?
it's the balance, the amount of expenditures divided by 360 times 2 months. It's around 27 million.
Okay. And obviously that changes every year when,
Yeah, it's 'cause it's
Expenses
based on
go up.
expenditures.
okay. Does option 1 also include a 9 million in reduction?
Yes, option 1 was what was put on the ballot in May, and that was part of the $9 million plus 1.75. So that hasn't changed, but I just didn't think it was very feasible or responsible to put up something that failed so miserably the first time.
Okay. I guess my question is, I feel like we need the August 5-year forecast to really understand what the long-term financial impact's gonna be. Especially, February's 5-year forecast shows us negative in '29. I'm sure that's not gonna change, next month. So we are gonna be in, is it precaution?
We could be in precaution in September.
September? Okay. So I mean, that status is coming either way, correct?
I'm sorry, say it again?
That status is coming either way, correct?
The what?
That status of fiscal
Oh,
precaution?
yes, the status, okay.
But can I just say something? But the precaution is solely based on, because of the cash balance, is that correct?
Yeah, they're gonna look 3 years out.
That's,
It'll be your fiscal year 27, 28, and 29.
right.
If the third year is negative, the cash balance, then the state's gonna come in and say, you're in fiscal precaution, you need to come up with a plan. That's something the state determines.
Right, so I guess what I'm trying to get at is, we already show that negative balance in '29 by 14 million. And I don't see that magically changing next month, do you?
No, that's why I said we could be in fiscal precaution after I do my August forecast.
Okay. So I mean, I guess when the state comes at us with that fiscal precaution, is our only plan gonna be, we have a levy on the ballot, let's see what happens?
No, I mean, we're looking at cuts all the time. Dr. Hunt has been looking at staffing and reorganizing central office and other factors to try to lower that number. We're not gonna just say, cross our fingers and hope it passes in November. We have to have a plan if it doesn't pass.
Right. So I guess what I'm trying to get at is, shouldn't we wait until the next election so we can have a big picture plan over the next 6 months that we can put together? We're gonna have to give some to the state anyways. Why not put together a plan that we can share with the community and really get them on our side? I mean, the last 3 levies have failed 60-40. I mean, that's a lot of people to try to gain trust back with.
So if you wait until May of 27, that would not, if it passes then, it would not take effect until January of 28. And then I say we're at full collection 18 months out, which would mean we're full collection in June or July of 2029, which is after the time that we need to eliminate that deficit. So obviously, if we had the 5-year forecast done, we could tell you exactly what this would do, but we don't have those numbers in yet. And doing an August 5-year forecast doesn't make any sense anyways, but I don't know why they changed it from May and November. But we just don't have time for that. We have, August 5th is the deadlines. If you don't submit something by August 5th, then you have to wait a whole nother year for the income tax levy to start collecting.
Yeah, I'm just trying to look at the long term. Like I said, the last 3 levies have failed 60-40. I mean, 8,000 to 12,000, 6,000 to 9,000, 9,000 to 12,000. I mean, this is a lot of people in our community that we need to win back. And I feel like we need to have the time and a better plan to win those people back.
The thing is, we don't have the time. That's the problem.
So if we wait till May of next year to put something on the ballot, how does that change our financial forecast?
We won't be able to start collecting until January of '28, when the first collection to us would be in the April of '28. And by that time, we're probably, maybe not fiscal precaution, but maybe worse, maybe fiscal caution or fiscal watch.
So if we collect in May of '28, right now, this forecast is showing 9.4 million. So if we collect in May of '28, that wouldn't still keep us out of the red?
So the first year collection on school district income tax is 6%. So if you're saying the first collection would be in April of '28, we're only getting 6% that year. So if we ask for, say, the $21 million, you're only going to take 6% in the first calendar year. That's what you're going to get from that. So it's not enough to sustain our operations.
So this policy also says the board affirms that tax levies shall be pursued and/or district finances otherwise managed. Then the last paragraph also states how, where is it? The superintendent and treasurer shall propose options which may include additional tax levies, reduction in force, reductions in curricular choices, and reductions in services, among other reductions that the board shall consider to forestall such eventuality. I guess I would like to see a broader plan of everything and how it's all going to work together. And I think that the community would love to see that, and we will win a lot of people back by doing that. I understand that we don't have a lot of time, but the fact is we're facing a very serious financial issue, a dilemma coming up. And we need to look at it, at how we can actually go into it and win this situation. And we have to deal with the community. I mean, the last 3 levies have made it very clear that the community still is not gonna support what we're asking. I just ask that we try to think a little differently, get creative, think outside the box, try to develop a overall bird's eye view plan of, hey, this money, if we get this money, this is what I mean, I know we're already going through, like you said, the reduction in staff and stuff like that, but to be able to pull this all together and show it to the community over the next 6 months to say, this is what we're doing, this is how we're being efficient, this is what we're doing to make sure that we're doing the right thing. I agree, to me, this feels very rushed, and I feel that a lot of people in the community are going to feel the same way, and that's really where my thoughts are with this.
We only have 2 ways we can raise money. We can raise money through income tax or property taxes. We're not able to do sales tax like the counties do. And the state controls our state funding, which they seem to lower every year. So our option for revenue would be, most likely be income tax. Dr. Hunt has spoken about, well, if this doesn't pass, that, there could be options that we have, like he would say, the nuclear plan, which could be like 32 kids in a class and cut pay to play and all these other options that are not good for kids. But unfortunately, we have to have a balanced budget. We just can't be in the negative in like the federal government. We can't do that. So if we don't have the revenue coming in, then we have to make drastic cuts. And I don't think the community would like to see what the drastic cuts are, but if it doesn't happen, if we don't have a levy that passes, then the drastic cuts are coming. Mrs. Sebastian, you look like you've been waiting to talk.
I just want to say that it's been more than 2 or 3 years of failed levies. 11. Yeah, it's, so, well, 2011 was the last time, and I was here through all of them. And my kids were in the district during cuts and during consolidations and all of the things that we have to do in the public school system. And we're doing more and more with less and less, while the federal government and the state continue to fund voucher programs. And I usually don't get on my soapbox about that, but there are a lot of things that contribute to the reason why we're in this position. And while I know we're all taxpayers, you know, Ms. Kerpick has a child in this district that I would love to hear from her how that would affect her child specifically. So there's more than just being a taxpayer. We're representing the 9,000 students in Parma City School District, and we took an oath to make sure that they have the least impact when it comes to the finances.
I feel like I have an interesting perspective here because I graduated from PCSD in 2012. And the last time that a levy was passed was 2011. So nothing has passed since I was in high school, and I now have a child that's in our district. I mean, to just wrap your head around that is just insane to me. I lived through the cuts that were made when I was in high school. It was pay to play for any activity that you were in, whether it be marching band, football, track. So we had to pick what we wanted to participate in. And that's hard. This directly affects students and the opportunities that they could have. Not saying that's, where we're going, but that was the situation then. And I mean, I worry for my own child being a student in the district. He's only 5, so he has, quite the time to go here and to be here. I don't want him to experience those cuts in his education. I want him to have the best that we can give him and the best that he can get, and I want that for every child in our district. So, I mean, I fully support going forward with this ask, and I would hate to delay it any longer.
I just want to mention one more thing. I have always held the district fiscally responsible as a taxpayer. And so, I totally get that. And I also see on the other side of things too, that a lot of things that we're hearing, and I hear you, Mr. Reyes, in wanting to get the community's trust, but we've heard that the community doesn't trust the board. This board since 2011 has changed many times. So that kind of perception goes out the window when you're talking about the trust of the board. So also we've heard, the same things over and over. And we've tried different things. I've seen the district, there are some unpopular decisions that had to be made. This is really going to be an unpopular thing to say, but we in this district had 3 high schools for way too long. That was not when Parma Senior High, this is not something that is popular to talk about, but these are decisions that had to be made, and they had to be made because they were fiscally responsible to do with the least impact to the students. So there is many things. I can't tell you how many times the district has consolidated buildings. I mean, the list go on and how we tried to be fiscally responsible. So I don't think waiting a year is really going to give us time to, what you say is winning back the community's trust. And I know you're asking for a plan with that, and that is not unreasonable. And I think we do have a plan moving forward. However, as far as like winning the district's trust, I would be really interested in knowing how you think we could do that in a year.
I don't have that answer, but we employ many, many, many bright people in this district. And I'm sure with the collaboration of them, that they would be able to hopefully give us a plan for that. But the 11 years of failed levies is exactly why we need to have a different approach. You know, it's 11 years of the same approach. Even though it's different boards, it's the same approach, and we're getting the same outcome. Failure after failure after failure. Why can't we take 6 months to try something different, to have a different approach with the community?
Well, this is a
So
different. I'm sorry.
I'm so sorry. So what was the same approach that they've had the past 15 years? Because I mean, I can't speak to what they've done the past 15 years. I don't have that kind of history or background. So what would you say they've done the past 15 years that was continually the same? And what different approach do you think we should be taking that they have not tried at all the past 15 years?
Well, I don't know what that different approach is, but like I said, I think that with collaboration with us and the many people we employ, that we could find a different approach. But if you look at the levy committees, levy campaigns, and, you know, there's a common theme of no one, like you said, no one trusts the board. No matter who's on the board, people still don't trust it. Well, how do we win that trust back?
I guess I'm still not hearing what their approach was that was the same for the past 15 years.
It's the same exact thing we're doing today.
We're doing an income tax this time.
Yeah, this is different.
And from 2000, I don't know, maybe 14 was the first time after we passed, putting up a levy through, I don't know, 2025. They were bond levies, which are property taxes, or they were emergency levies, which are property taxes. Income taxes, a whole different approach that it's not even very common in Cuyahoga County at all. And we took a bold step like in May and put something completely different that's not even at all common in Northeast Ohio. And I think that is a different approach that we have not done prior to that. We only have two options of generating revenue. It's income tax or property tax. We have no other way of generating revenue.
Mr. McCune, as another board member who has a child in the district, I'd love to hear your thoughts as a parent.
Well, you know, I'm in kind of a tough spot because I'm brand new. But what I'd like to say is you know, after the Space Shuttle Columbia exploded, there was a bunch of guys that sat around the water cooler and they talked about how they knew it was going to explode. And then NASA came up with called the descending opinion. And so the descending opinion is the least popular opinion at the table. And that's the one that Nick has presented. And that's the one I wanted to ask you about. What if the levy fails?
If the levy fails, then we're going to be in fiscal precaution. We have to come up with a plan, and it could lead to devastating cuts that will hurt students.
And that's a gamble. It's a big gamble. And what Nick is trying to talk about, I believe,
it's not really a gamble if we don't pass.
it is. People vote for levies, and they go in and they vote yes or no. So if they vote no or don't show up, we don't pass that levy. So
Right.
he's asking for a little more articulation to the community so that we can present them something. So my question is, what if we do nothing?
We do nothing, and then
Yeah,
we have
we ask the
devastating.
community to accept ours as we are, get to know us, and then you get the money at the last minute like he's talking about, and you balance everything up.
We have to make devastating cuts.
Yeah.
If we don't put up a levy.
We may
or
have
the
to
levy
make
fails.
devastating cuts. We may have to make devastating cuts.
No, we will.
Okay. And at some point, I think that we're going to have to lean into the state of Ohio and look at some legislature that supports other school districts. You know, there's community funding that there's a few boxes that are checked off down in Columbus that could probably get our school district some money. And you don't hear of the Cleveland School District doing a levy. How do they do it? They get community funded, and it's from the state. So if we have time to talk about a levy, if we have time to sell it and approve it through the community before we take the gamble of it not passing and we're in the same spot, What is the difficulty in just looking at this option that Nick has suggested?
So over the last year, the state has passed numerous bills cutting our state funding. They're not increasing our state funding. They've cut it drastically. And I don't see that us going down there and saying, please give us more money is gonna change their mind, because their view is they're not pro-public school districts, they're pro-voucher plan. And that's what it is. I mean, I'm not saying that's good or bad, it's just they're not pro-school, public schools, and they're not gonna give us more funding if we go down there. So if that's our plan, we're just wasting our time. We're not getting more state funding. We have to do it at the local level. And that's either pass a levy or make devastating cuts.
I really,
Go
I'm
ahead.
sorry.
Go ahead.
I said this the last time we were putting a levy on the ballot as well. I just feel very strongly that putting it on the ballot is the way that we find the temperature of the community. The only way to know what they think is to take it to the ballot and let them vote yes or let them vote no. At the end of the day, I am not sitting here to make that decision for our community. I have my vote, I will go vote the way I feel, but I really do feel that it is my duty to allow the constituents of this district to vote how they want to vote and to give them the opportunity to make this decision.
Yes, so people like say, well, can we just do a survey and see what the community wants us to do? Put up 0.75, 0.5, or option 1. It has Miss, well, your name tags I just noticed are reversed, but still. As Ms. Kerpick has said, really the pulse of the community to see how they view of this levy, either 0.75 or 0.5 is a yes or no vote. And obviously they didn't like option 1, so we're not bringing that back. So we have option 2 or 3, or I guess option 4 would be do nothing, sit on our hands. So that's.
Can I just?
I don't believe building community trust is nothing.
I agree.
I don't believe that.
No.
I don't believe that articulating a plan that is well-planned from what I have perceived as a super team. I mean, you're incredible, Dr. Hunt's incredible, Melissa's incredible, the school district's incredible. So if we can take our finger off the panic button, I think that we can move on to some real discussion on what are we going to do to make sure the community doesn't feel like everything's rushed. I understand people can vote yes or no, but when you feel like you know nothing about it, and you yourself said it's brand new, we've never educated the community on the impact on their income. There should be town halls. There should be meetings. The survey data we should be getting is the ages of our residents in these 3 cities. We're looking for 20-something-year-olds that have kids. We need to figure these things out.
But we are in a time crunch. We have
I
August
understand that.
5th as the
I understand
deadline. And the Board of Elections is not flexible. It's August 5th. Either do that by then or you wait another year.
Mr. Nucio, just a couple points of clarification. CMSD passed a $295 million combined. That was a bond issue and a tax levy. And that was back in 2024. That was issue 49. They also just closed many buildings on top of that. So I just want to clarify. Also, when we're talking about the state, and I just, again, with the voucher program, it's here to stay. However, well, hopefully it's not, because it comes out of this, and I just want you to correct me if I'm wrong, it comes out of the same line item, the vouchers, that is allocations for public schools. Is that correct?
I believe that's correct.
Okay. So that is money being taken away from the public school districts.
Right. So if you're saying Cleveland passed a levy in
That's, just with the,
2024, and
that's with a quick Google search.
And our last levy pass was 2011. So to compare us to Cleveland schools is unfair because they always put up a levy every 5 years. That's what Cleveland does. And they seem to pass every 5 years. So we're going 15 years without a levy, and they've passed a couple levies since then. So we're not in the same boat. Plus, they get a lot more funding from the state because their population is.
Yeah, they
poor.
get about 55 million from the state, I think. About
Yeah,
that
we
amount.
get far less than that.
But if we could get down to Columbus, I'll go. Maybe we can get that money.
You can go.
There's a
but-
first time for everything, right?
Yeah, you can go, but they don't see, they're not favorable to public school districts. That's the atmosphere in Columbus.
Every year, there is more cuts to public schools. It's so, I mean, I would love to be able to advocate to Columbus in getting more funding. I believe we've done that for many years.
Yeah, we have a couple groups. There's BASA, which represents all the superintendents, and then there's OSBA and OASBO that represents the treasurers. And they all advocate for public school districts down in Columbus. That's the groups we pay membership fees to, and that's their job to advocate for us. And they've been doing that for years. I mean, we have advocates. We have people down there. They're trying, but it's just not, the state doesn't want to do it. That's just what it is.
So what I'm understanding then is we need a really good levy that we could get on now, get it passed, get working, and get looking at all these other opportunities while we're fiscally stable. Is that what you're telling me?
I'm having trouble hearing your
Okay.
microphone.
I don't like this system. Yeah, I'm not a DJ, I'm a chef. I forgot what I said now. Okay,
Not you, the
Oh, okay.
microphone.
okay. I forgot what I said. It's okay.
Mr. Nucio, too, as far as like a plan, so I just want to say this again. So we do have a plan moving forward. I'm not sure, I'm hearing two different things. So I'm hearing community trust building separate from a plan. Is that correct? I'm hearing both. I'm not saying one or the other. I'm saying, but you're also saying there needs to be community trust building. Is that correct?
I think it needs to be part of the plan, yes.
Okay, so one of the things that we cannot do, we can informationally give, we can be clear to the public and we can tell them, but we cannot advocate for the levy. We can't do that legally. We cannot do that. So we do have a 50, I believe PI is a 5013C who does all our, basically what you're talking about, getting the information out there, trying to build trust in the community. And so that is being done and has for quite some time.
What's the name of that organization?
Partners in Education, PI.
And the district employs them?
District does not employ them. They are a 501c3 separate from the district. The district cannot go out and promote levies, but they're a PAC, a political action group, and they can go out and they can raise money, which they had a golf outing last week, and they raise money and they take donations and they go out and they promote the levy for the district. We're not allowed to give them any money. We're not allowed to give them our resources. They have to be separate from the district. That's state law. That's just the way it is. It may sound like it's stupid, but that's the way it is.
I thought I was a freshman board member when I came here. I'm a baby board member. Hello. No, I'm going to make this work. Thank you. And I'm going to ask the dumbest questions in the world. Thank you. Like I said, we've got the right people in the jobs, and what we've got to do is make sure we're showing the community that and get it done. I mean, we've got to get this done so that I want to see this future that Dr. Hunt sees. I want to see you financially make that happen. I want to see everyone here be extremely successful in what they do. And I think it's here. I'm so worried about it not passing. That's my worry. And so I say, if it doesn't pass, that's my, and I'm a worry wart. I go right to the worst. So I think, what's next,
Well, what's next is if we don't pass a levy in November, devastating cuts come. That's just what it is, because we can't raise money on the revenue side, then the expenditure side has to decrease decrease drastically in order to eliminate the deficit. And that's, like I said before, it's not good for kids. Sebastian?
Mr. Nucio, too, we've talked a lot about community trust and doing things differently. However, and this is just in not just in school districts, this is in general in voting, you have to also consider voter apathy as well. And that is a huge portion. We've also seen, you can actually look at the numbers and be able to tell that there are a significant amount of people that are not voting, right?
Correct.
So, I mean, there are things that we just don't have control over when it comes to voting. And what we do have control over, I believe we're doing. And as far as building that trust, I would really encourage you, I mean, anybody can attend those PI meetings, Mr. Reyes or Mr. McCune. So if you would like to go and so there's not, we don't have a quorum, you could just let me know when you'd want to go to those meetings. I think you would actually have some, great information to share with them and how you may see with connecting with the community. I think that would be great. And your creative ideas, what you're talking about, right?
May I stand just for a little while? My back is...
Yeah.
Were you going to say something? No. Oh, okay. So, Mr. Nussi, I just want to get I'm getting a little bit confused. So, if we don't pass the levy, we're in fiscal precaution, or are we in fiscal precaution next 5-year forecast?
So the state is the one that would put us in fiscal precaution. That is not an automatic thing. The state would review 5-year forecasts, which we have to submit our forecast in August. And so September, once they receive all the 5-year forecasts, they start reviewing the information and they determine the school districts that are in fiscal caution, fiscal watch, fiscal emergency, fiscal precaution. That's something the state determines. And they do that by looking at the third year, which is fiscal year 29. And are you negative in that amount? So when I do my forecast in August, we're going to be negative in fiscal year 29. So most likely I'm going to get that letter in September saying you're in fiscal precaution, come up with a plan.
So really, whether or not the levy goes on the ballot, we're going to be in fiscal precaution. Is that correct?
Well, the state's going to ask us for a plan, and they say, well, if I say, well, we are working on a plan, but we also have a levy up, then they might hold off on putting us in fiscal precaution until they see the results of the election.
Okay. So this is why I think it's a benefit to us to have this large plan with all these different options that not only we could look at, we could share those with the community and we could share those with the state. I wouldn't want to wait until we get a letter to then develop a plan. It doesn't seem smart to do that.
We're not doing that. We're already making steps. We're looking at staffing, making cuts. We've talked about this $9 million over 3 years. We're already making plans. We're already
Yeah, but
in the process of doing that.
I haven't seen that plan. I haven't seen how many people are they here this year, how many people are here next year. I haven't seen a plan that I could take and give to my neighbor and say, hey, check out this plan. This is what we're doing right now. I haven't seen anything like that.
Well, staffing, we're going through staffing and going through cuts. It takes a while. It's not something that we could just
Yeah.
do now, and I'll have it to you on Tuesday morning.
Yeah, and
I mean, it takes a while.
yeah, and I
There's a
completely,
lot of stuff involved,
yeah,
and Dr. Hunt and staff are working on.
I just want to clarify for the community, we have seen initial steps in a plan. So that, I'm just going to clarify that. We have.
do you have a plan? I'd like to see it if you do.
No, we all seen it, and that's all I can say. I can't say anything outside of that.
Well, this policy says, last sentence, the superintendent and treasurer shall propose options which may include additional tax levies, reduction in force, reductions in curricular choices, and reductions in services that, among other reductions, the board shall consider to forestall such eventuality. I would like to see, as the policy states, a plan with options for us.
We have, and I cannot say anything outside of that. We have seen it.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Anything else anybody would like to know or have to add?
I guess I would just like to ask Mr. Reyes, these plans, would you like to see like a couple different plans, one where it's maybe a operational reduction in support staff, a number of teachers removed, cuts made in maybe shortening the school day or making the school day start later? What type of plan would be articulated to you that would give you kind of that support so you could go to the community and really believe in what you're presenting?
Yeah, I mean, just whatever we could present to the community that shows that we're being smart and efficient with what we have. Hey, this is what we had last year. This is what we're doing this year to be more efficient. And to be able to show that to people so they can compare apples to apples. You know, I don't know what that looks like or if it's, you know, teacher, administrator, I don't know any of that looks like. That's why we have experts here to do that for us. But I would just like to see something physical that we can share with the community so that they can see we are taking the appropriate steps.
I'm going to say once again, we are doing that. And I believe Dr. Hunt shared with us and Mr. Nucio just shared with us that this will be continuous and that he would report back to the board. If you're looking for something, and I would also say when you come out with a plan and when you start talking about cutting teachers, cutting programs, that is not information that you want to take very lightly and just throw out there when you are in the process of doing those things. You really have to, and I'm sure there's a certain level of HR policies that we would have to follow with that as well. So what's being presented to us right now, we all already seen the beginning stages of. So I don't understand what it is exactly you want to see. Are you asking for, if the levy doesn't pass, you want to know what all the cuts are? Because that's a different story.
No, that's not what I'm asking for.
Okay.
So let's just take the example. If we get a letter from the state that says, hey, you guys have to come up with a plan, and our response to that letter is, it's in process. Are they going to accept that answer from us?
So when I was at Clearview Local School District back when I started in 2013, I was there for less than a year and I got a letter from the state saying, okay, you're going to be in fiscal precaution unless you come up with a plan. Well, at that time, the superintendent, I knew they were in we had fiscal issues, so we were already working on a plan and we submitted, it wasn't like a 30-page plan. It was like this, we outlined some of the things we're doing, and the state was okay with that. They said, okay, you're fine, we'll check back with you in 6 months. So they're not looking for something that's 30 pages that's bound and with plenty of pictures and stuff. They're kind of like, how are you gonna get rid of it? Tell us. And if they think it's okay, then they'll say, okay, we're not gonna put you in fiscal precaution.
Which, going back to what I was saying, so saying we have put a levy on the ballot, and we are also in the beginning stages of what we already have seen start, that is going to be sufficient.
I can't speak for them,
I mean, more than
but
likely.
more than likely, they're
Yeah.
gonna say, yeah, they're being proactive. They're not waiting for the levy to fail. I don't wanna say it's gonna fail, but they're not waiting to see the result of the election to come up with a plan. They're proactive.
Yeah, and I think that's what I'm trying to get at, is if the state's gonna want something physical from us, and I would like to have something physical that we could share with the community as well.
I don't know if they necessarily want something physical. It might be a conversation with the Ohio Department of Education and Workforce, like when we were in fiscal precaution, we were in fiscal caution earlier, back in, we got out of fiscal precaution in 2019. We were working with the state then, so I have contacts down there, and we would be communicating with them what we're doing. It doesn't necessarily have to be a written formal plan for them.
Yeah, but you at least had a sense of direction of what you're doing.
I think we do have direction. The board had told us they want us to cut $9 million over 3 years. That's the first step.
Okay, but like I said, I still haven't seen a physical plan that says, hey, this category, this category, this category.
I think,
Compared to last year and this year, this is what we're looking at.
I think Dr. Hunt has shared some of the first steps in that plan already.
And yeah.
Yeah, the first steps, but not the overall plan. It seems like we get step 1, then step 2, then step 3. We should see the whole plan so we can have input and make decisions on this plan too, instead of getting one step at a time.
I don't think it's that easy. I think you're oversimplifying the way school districts operate. I mean, most of our expenses are staff. We're not going to say, well, we're cutting Mrs. Jones and Mr. Smith, who are second grade teachers,
Right.
to balance the budget. That's not good for the kids. That's not good for the community. We have to go through a process.
It's not good for staff morale.
Not good for staff morale, not good for anybody. We're not going to say the specific teachers we're cutting and how many teachers we're cutting, because once teachers see this, if we're not definitely doing this, then they're all going to bail, and we're going to lose all our good teachers.
Yeah.
And that's not good for
And,
kids.
and, you know, I want to recognize what Madam President is saying. You know, there has been, you know, fiscal changes to the school district. You know, my daughter, it was the online program, and she's going back to Normandy her senior year because that online program has been discontinued. I thought that was the best thing ever, because now I have a daughter that's going to do homecoming and football games and not be an online student from a product from COVID, from that atmosphere that didn't return to what I called was the greatest high school experience you ever had, your senior year. So the changes we have community facing, I think we have to embrace them and show our community members what we're doing as a school district. And then the other parts are just extremely complex, and we need to be very patient on how that comes to us.
Yeah, I think during the COVID period, the online school,
Are we talking about PVLA?
yes,
Okay.
the online school, PVLA, was needed, but as time has gone by, Dr. Hunt has realized it's not needed, and we're going to discontinue it, and that's a step we've made. I think there were very few people in the program, and it didn't seem like the costs were worth going forward with it, so they've made that cut.
Well, and I love the holistic part of it. Kids should be at school with other kids. You know, you're better around other people.
I agree. So I guess what's our next step going forward? We have a board meeting on July 16th. Are we going to go forward with putting up a levy, or are we having further discussions or postponing it? You tell me what you guys want to do.
I'm looking at, I'm sorry. Again, I'm looking at definitely option 2, but I don't know where I'm at with whether I want 5 or 10. I feel like I would love to do 10 years, but thinking about the community, I think that would be to the community like, here, give us 5 years when we're talking about building that trust. I think 10 years is way too long, but I think 5 years is something we could build on. So I'm not saying I couldn't do a 10-year, I'm just saying that's my.
What if we met in the middle at like 7? Because you did say, Sean, right, that you could go at any year you wanted to, so it doesn't have to be 5 or 10. We could do like a 7, right?
Correct.
I mean, just, well, just so I'm clear about how I feel, I would like to go for the 0.75. I feel very strongly about the 0.75 versus the 0.5.
Which is option 2, I just want to clarify.
Thank you. Yeah, I don't have the options in front of me, so thank you, Tammy. I would like to do 10 years. However, I do hear what you're saying about 10 years possibly being too long. I would like to ask that we consider 7 before we jump down to 5. However, I feel more strongly about the amount than I do about the length of the term. But I would be ready, if we came to a decision about what we wanted to put forward, I would be comfortable taking a vote on that at the next meeting. I don't know, unless my fellow board members feel like we need to have another work session to talk about this further, but I feel that I have all the answers I need to be prepared to take a vote on this.
What's your feeling, Mr. McCune?
I love what I hear. I could be easily discussed to a 0.75. I think if we go for that higher ask, we go for the shorter years. And we go for 5. If we do the 0.5, we ask for 7 years. It gives us a little flexibility on it. It's the lowest amount that we're going to ask from the community to contribute. And it's an ask that carries the weight of we really need it. So we're asking them for the minimum, but it's going to give us the maximum for our kids in the school district.
So you said 0.75 for 5 years? Is that what you said?
0.75 for 5 years, or 0.5 for 7 years.
Sean, would you be able to come up with what we would receive if we did 0.75 for 5 years versus if we did 0.5
Well, you could just
for 7 years? Can you
do the calculations.
Yeah, you can do the calculations.
14.1 times 5, so that's 60.5. And then the 0.5. The 0.5 was 14.1 times 5. That's 60.5, I think. Just doing it roughly in my head. The other one was 21.4 time for 7 years, or was it?
Yeah.
No, wait, I'm sorry, I'm confused myself. Did you want the 21.4 million for 7 years, or 21.4?
No.
I don't think she was asking you to do it right now, but we appreciate it.
No, but I'm very,
Way to go, math
No,
magician.
please, I would, your human calculator, please.
So
Just
you were
rattle,
s- you were
just rattle
saying-
off the numbers. I love this.
So you're saying the 0.75 was for 5 years, right? So that'd be 21.4 times 5, so it's 101 million?
Hold on, let me write some stuff here. 0.75 for 5 years would be how much? Sorry.
101 million?
101 million? Okay, and then if we did 0.5 for 10 years,
It's 14.1, you just move the decimal over one spot. 140. 141.
What do we think is most palatable for our community?
This changes the way I think now. I'll turn it. I guess I'd be comfortable with either one.
I guess I just need direction. I have to, for the
You need
first
something for the resolution,
I need to
yes.
tell legal counsel, this is what the board wants. I can't say, well,
Well,
could
would-
be this, could be that.
I'm standing on what I said,
Which was 0.7 for 7 years, correct?
5.
0.7.
But I'm willing to compromise with the board if they think that that is something that we should really do in the best interest.
No, seeing these numbers now, I would be okay with either. I'd be okay with 0.5 for 10, or I'd be okay with 0.75 for 5. I mean, I kind of like the 0.5 for 10. I like that it is a lower ask, it spreads it out longer. But I'm also okay with 0.75 for 5.
0.75 is probably more beneficial than 0.5 for 10, just because you need to sustain the operations in the short term.
So I'm good with either. I'm good with 0.75 for 5, or I'm good with 0.5 for 10. So whatever my fellow board members feel is best, I'd be good with either one of those.
Mr. Reyes, we haven't heard from you.
Honestly, I don't think I have enough information to really make a decision. Just given the fact that these are based off of February's forecast, and we still have to go forward with 9 million in cuts, and it only keeps us positive and doesn't really keep us over the cash reserve policy. I think that we need more information from the next 5-year forecast to really determine what the right number and the right number of years is. But that's my opinion.
So could we meet, I mean, could you request whatever information you need from Mr. Nucio, and we could get together next week then? Because it
I'm
sounds
out of
like.
town. I'm out of town all next week.
Oh, you're out of town.
Mr. Reyes is saying he is not going to want to do anything until after the 5-year forecast, which will be too late.
Oh, sorry.
correct.
I thought there was additional information. I thought we had already gone over that the 5-year forecast couldn't be produced.
So I guess if we have, I'm not
Well,
saying you're voting for it.
You're
Yeah, yeah.
asking for consensus
I'm
on
asking for
getting
something.
a
What
resolution.
can I put on the resolution? I'm not saying I'm holding you to a yes vote or a no vote.
We understand.
Just
Right.
what can I tell the lawyer to put in the resolution?
Right, and Mr. Reyes, in consideration of all the time constraints that are going on, I think that I would ask you to just consider possibly the lowest that I think this board could do, which would be the 0.5 for 5 years. I don't know what that does for the school district financially, but as far as getting something on the ballot, that would get something on the ballot.
Mr. Reyes, can I ask you this? And if you don't want to answer it, I'm really not trying to pigeonhole you into anything. But if you were, let's just say we were taking, this is after the 5-year forecast, what would you be in favor of? Or would it just be dependent, or are you going to come back and say it just depends on the 5-year forecast? Okay.
Exactly. Yeah.
All right.
It's all numbers with me, just like Sean. I just want to make sure we ask for the right amount the first time, especially given that this is based off of still producing the 9 million in reduction. That really worries me because it just worries me. So that's my concern. So could you ask the lawyer to do one of each?
I could ask the 2 scenarios, sure, I can ask them to prepare both, and then you vote on one of the 2 scenarios.
So what are we looking at, 0.75 for 5 and 0.5 for 10?
If that's what you'd like me to put up.
I'm asking the board.
I'm fine with either of those, but I just want to understand how this would play out. So we would have resolutions for both scenarios drawn up. And then what? Are we going to meet again prior to the next meeting to discuss which resolution we would want to use? Or are we just day of gonna have both resolutions?
And vote on
Well,
both?
Yeah, exactly.
That
That's-
doesn't make
That doesn't
sense.
make sense to me,
We've
which
done
is
that in the
why I'm-
past. We have
sorry,
done it in the past.
which is why I'm trying to understand.
We have done that in the past. So
don't
you,
know that.
I could put up both resolutions and you can vote on, you could approve both, and I'd send both of them down to the Board of Taxation, and then the Board of Taxation would come back with, well, this is what the rates are. But for the, then you'd have to have another resolution to move forward. You have to decide one. That goes to the Board of Elections.
So what's the time frame on that, if
Well,
we did it that way?
If it's approved at the July 16th meeting, then it might take a week for me to get the back from the board, the Department of Taxation, and then the lawyer would write up another resolution, which you could have a meeting maybe July 30th or somewhere before August 5th to decide which one you want to move forward with.
I kind of like the, sorry, echoing there. I kind of like the idea of both of them because I think that gives us a little more time to decide. And then it sounds like we will be calling a special meeting after we vote on that resolution to decide on which of those two resolutions that we're going to be voting on. Whew.
I think
This
that's,
is like,
I think that's a really, I didn't know that we could do that, so that's
So
great.
to
I didn't know we
clarify
could do that either. I think that's great.
So to clarify, it's 0.75 for 5 years and 0.5 for 10 years. Okay.
Mr. Newsom?
You said 5 years first, I'm sorry,
No, you're
right?
okay.
You didn't say 7.
0.75 for 5 years
Okay.
or 0.5 for 10 years.
I know we were throwing out, okay, just wanted to make, yeah.
Sorry, I threw everyone for curveball there with my 7. I just thought it was a good idea.
Mr. Race, you had a question? I
Yeah,
think?
thank you. So is that enough time for our consultant to expedite the 5-year forecast for us?
No,
There's no
I
way
mean-
that they can do it?
no, he's struggling to get this done by August because I believe the state, not the state, the county pushed back when our tax bills are due. I think they were due like August 19th. I think now they're due in September. So I'm doing a 5-year forecast, not knowing what my September collections are. So there's no way he could do a 5-year forecast in July. He'd be struggling to get it done in August.
Thank you.
So it sounds like that would be good moving forward, although we'd have to hold another meeting after July 16th, which we were going to do anyways, right?
Correct.
Yeah, okay.
Okay. So I got my direction. Is there any other questions you got, you have or concerns?
Do we have a date for that second meeting? Because I won't be in town.
We can we'll
When,
plan.
yeah, when would you be available after the 16th?
I'll be gone from the 23rd through the 5th.
So you're saying we have between the 16th and the 23rd?
That's correct.
I don't know. We might have to vote with 3 people.
Because that's only Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday.
Because the second
sorry, and
resolution
Friday.
is all based on when we get the information back from the Department of Taxation, and I can't control how fast they do their work down there.
Yeah, I'll be out of town, and I purposely scheduled it for the only month that we have one board meeting, so it's really unfortunate. Thanks.
Mr. Reyes, if I can say, and it is, however, I think that's something that we know as board members is that there will be special meetings called. There'll be times that we'll have to do a work, like today. We had to have a work session and get everybody to come together. And I understand that we all have other commitments that we have to do. And I think if we can get the majority of the board there, that's kind of what we have to work around.
I mean, that's what we're working with. Whereas the board with one person short, I mean, it makes it difficult. So, okay,
Okay.
well, I think we
Well-
can move forward then.
If there's nothing else, is there anything else? Okay, I move to adopt Resolution 2026-07-314 to adjourn this meeting.
Second?
We have a motion and a second to adopt Resolution 2026-07-314. Roll call, please, Mr. Nucio.
Mrs. Sebastian,
Yes.
Ms. Kerpick,
Yes.
Mr. McCune,
Yes.
Mr. Reyes.
Yes.
Meeting adjourned.